Hi everyone, my name is Omar, and today I want to talk to you about how to prepare for a job interview. But before we get started, I want to make one point extremely clear. There is no one right way to prepare for an interview. So even if you click off this video and you go watch a million other videos, I promise you there is no one right way to prepare. Now there's a lot of good ways to prepare, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Because today I want to share with you a few tips that I've used that helped me land a job at a Big Four firm, and that also helped me land a lot of other internships and jobs during university. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the first question you're most likely to encounter in every interview you do is tell me about yourself. Now, when I first heard this question, I was like, how hard is it to answer, tell me about yourself? Until I started to practice answering the question, and oh my days, it was extremely difficult to explain myself in a few minutes because I was like, where do I even begin from? And my mind was going in so many different directions until I made the framework I'm about to share with you. Now, the way that I answered this question is that I split myself into three parts. So there's the corporate side, there's the academic side, and then there's the more fun/interesting side. So before the interview, when you're preparing, write three categories: the academic, the professional, and the personal/fun. And then you also want to have on the side the job description and the job requirements. And then you want to go category by category. And you want to ask yourself, how is my professional or corporate experience relevant to the job description and the job requirements? And then you write down a few bullet points. Maybe you had an internship where you did something similar to what they're asking for in the job description and the job requirement. Or maybe in university you took a course where you learned something that's relevant to the job description or the job requirements. And maybe you've done something in your personal life that's also relevant. So you want to ask yourself this question: how are the job descriptions and the job requirements relevant to my own personal experience in the three categories? Now, obviously, you want to test the vibe of the people that are interviewing you, but something that I did in one of my interviews because I wanted to have a memorable answer was when they asked me, tell me about yourself, I told them, today, I want to talk to you about three versions of Omar: the academic side, the professional side, and the more fun/interesting side. And then I proceeded to spend around a minute or two on each version of myself, whilst also making it relevant to the job description and the job requirements. And I remember after doing that, them telling me that was actually a memorable answer. So you see, you don't have to have the same answer as everyone. You can play around, you can spice around the way you formulate your answer. You want to have something memorable. They've probably already heard so many typical answers of tell me about yourself. Now, another thing that's extremely helpful to do before the job interview is looking up the company's mission statement. Now, all companies have a mission statement. And if you know the mission statement of the company during the interview, it shows that you actually care. It shows that you did your research. And a lot of companies value their mission statement because it shows their vision. I remember doing a job interview for Red Bull, and before the interview, I looked up their mission statement, and it said, give wings to people and ideas. And while I was answering the question of tell me about yourself, I incorporated their mission statement because I was saying in my personal life, I want to be someone who's more creative. And Red Bull's mission statement is in perfect alignment with my personal goals. So you see, if you're able to link the mission statement of the company to your answer of tell me about yourself, imagine how much more memorable that would make you as a candidate. Now, something else that's really useful is looking up the values of the company. So if you go on the internet and you just type what are the values of, and then the company you're applying for, you'll find on their website that they have the values that they want to instill within their employees or within the culture of the firm. And now knowing the values of this firm and being able to relate how these values are values that you already have will again show them how you're interested in the company and how you're more likely to be able to integrate with the team that they have. So just as a quick example, one of Microsoft's core values is giving back to local communities. So you can talk about how when you were in university, you participated in a program where you were able to give back to your local community. Maybe you did it in school, or maybe you did something that's a bit similar. It doesn't need to be exactly the same, but just acknowledging that you know the core value of the company and how you have some experience in relation to that core value will be extremely helpful in your interview. And now, as uncomfortable as this is going to sound, recording yourself doing the interview alone will be extremely helpful. So you can set up a few questions for yourself, like tell me about yourself, tell me about a time when you worked on a team, tell me about a time when you had like a conflict with a team member and how you resolved it. Like there's a bunch of standard behavioral questions you can find anywhere online, and I'll put some down in the description down below. But essentially, set up your own interview prior to the interview. So you would sit down, you would press record, and you would answer the questions that you think might come on the interview. And you want to hear yourself answer these questions. You see, a lot of the time when we answer a question and we don't hear our answer, we're unaware of the way we're answering the question. But if you record yourself and you watch yourself answer the question, you'll realize, maybe I'm a bit repetitive in this part, or maybe my answer is too short, maybe it's too long. You'll start to notice trends in the way that you speak. And even if you don't get the job, well, you're going to become a better public speaker or a better speaker, or you're just going to get better at answering these questions. So the more you practice by recording yourself, the better you will become at answering these questions. And now another very simple thing you can do before your interview is, let's say you're applying to company X. Now search on the internet, what is an interesting fact about company X? So you might find that they have the third best environment to work in the world. Or you might find that they recently just won an award. You can find so many different things. And now in the interview, when they ask you, why do you want to work for our firm? You can mention this. You can say, well, you have the third best work culture in the world. Who wouldn't want to work there? And you'll be surprised because sometimes the person that's interviewing you might not even know that piece of information. So you'll be telling them something new about the company that they already work for. And that will definitely show how you're passionate and that you want to work for the company. And finally, I want to leave you with this last point. Please, please, please be yourself. Now, I know you've probably heard this like a million times, but the reason people say this is because it's true. And when I say be yourself, that doesn't mean that you're going to talk to the interviewers the same way you talk to your friends. But you don't need to pretend to be someone that you're not. If you've reached this far and you're having an interview with an actual person, chances are you already fulfilled the criteria they're looking for. So now they're just assessing the personalities of the people that made it this far to see who would be the best fit for our team. And now, let's say you pretend to be someone that you're not, and then they end up choosing you because they think your personality would fit well with the team. You're gonna eventually have to go back to your normal self, and you're not gonna fit with the team. So my point is, be yourself. You can talk normally. You don't have to talk like a robot. You don't have to be overqualified or extremely formal. Talk to them the same way you would talk to someone you are meeting for the first time. And now I know this is way, 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 way easier said than done. But the more you practice with like recording yourself or practicing with a friend that you trust or a family member or whoever it may be, the more comfortable you will feel speaking to people in an interview setting. Because it is scary. Of course it is. You're sitting in a chair and people are asking you questions, and what if you don't know the answer? Like, what if you stutter? Like, there's so many things that could go wrong. Like, some people say, oh, nothing will go wrong. Well, maybe nothing will go wrong, but there's also a lot of things that could go wrong. So the best thing that you could do for yourself is to be yourself. You know what? I didn't even think of that point that I just said. Sometimes accepting that things could go wrong will actually make you feel so much more at peace. I didn't even have this in like my bullet points when I was preparing for the video. But now that I'm thinking about it, if you just accept that things could go wrong. Now, accepting that things could go wrong doesn't mean that they're gonna go wrong, or it doesn't mean that we're gonna manifest things to go wrong. But it just means that if you put the pressure off of yourself and you tell yourself, I've genuinely prepared to the best of my efforts and I'm going to try my absolute best, there's nothing else you can do. Genuinely, I mean this. And I know that this is way easier said than done, and it's like quite difficult to actually believe in this, because even me, as many times as I'll say this to myself, I might also still feel nervous. But the more you tell yourself that things could go wrong, the more the pressure goes away and the more inner peace you'll feel. Because you'll know that even if things go wrong, you will have done your best job. And genuinely, that's all you can ask of yourself. Now, anyways, I don't want to make this video too long because I did go a bit over what I wanted. But I hope that I've given you a few points to think about. And best of luck in your interview season. And I hope you get the job that is meant for you. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you soon. Peace.